guys, and welcome to the fourth part of Divine Feminine Masterclass. Today is going to be about toxic femininity versus toxic masculinity, and even how they can embody each other in different genders, how these things can show up and why they can be really dangerous. Also about breaking the stigmas and traditional roles between both genders. So not just genders as in physical genders, but also genders as in energy. So how you embody either one of those energies and how they can kind of play out in a very toxic, unhealthy, unhealed way, and really how you can start learning to identify where they come from and also what you can do about them. Okay, so I'm going to start with a list of both masculine and feminine traits that are deemed as toxic, unhealed, wounded, like all those types of things. So for women, or predominantly feminine beings, you've got gossiping, degrading, you've got oppressing yourself, which is gender-based stereotypes. So like women need to be in the household and men need to go to work and provide. Putting men on a pedestal as well. So toxic femininity can look like you being this victim, you being this timid, weak person and needing a man to take over and take care of you. Or it can also be like you have identified yourself within a man and seeing the ways that men have been put down and oppressed themselves, and you view that as being the same way that women have been oppressed, and so you try to give them what you believe that you need by making excuses for them, by over-identifying with a male and being like, okay, look, let's put them on this pedestal, let's make them just like leave everything in the past and we'll put them on the pedestal and we'll degrade ourselves. Which is just like flipping the polarity entirely. It does not actually serve as equality. This is where the feminist movement has gone really haywire with people who don't understand what we're trying to achieve as a feminist culture. Is not to, it's like with Black Lives Matter type of shit. It's like, it's not that all lives don't matter, it's that not all lives have been oppressed for hundreds or thousands of years. Women have been oppressed, men have been oppressed, but the ways where women have been oppressed by society and by an entire generation of like people, like generations of people, and how they've also had to oppress themselves to not want more, to not be more, to not have more than what they deserve, is totally different. So when the feminist movement took over, we started with the suffragettes, where all they wanted was equal rights, equal human rights, equal human abilities, being able to show up as your authentic self and not being reliant on a man to do that. That doesn't mean that men don't serve a purpose, or that men don't serve a purpose in a woman's life. But being able to go to the bank and open a bank account was not legal. Being able to own your own house and put your own name on a lease or on a house was not legal. Going against your husband or any type of family member who was a male in the legal system was not allowed. You were not allowed to say, this man raped me, whether or not we're married. That's just a part of being married. This is what we're talking about. While these things do happen to some men, predominantly, they were happening to women and being oppressed for hundreds of thousands of years. These things were like not just, random little tiny topics that we're like, oh, it's okay, you're allowed to eat white bread now. No, we're allowed to have human rights now. And toxic femininity has taken it to a whole nother level, where they've identified themselves with the ways that toxic masculines act, and they go, oh, poor baby, and put them on a pedestal, and all you've done is put us back down here, which is totally not feminism. It is not equality in any way, shape, or form. I think I went on a bit of a rant with that. Okay. You've identified the ways that men have been oppressed. Yes, now you're oppressing yourself again. You've made yourself a victim again. And now you're allowing yourself to go, poor me. Toxic masculinity also does this, where they've taken on toxic feminine traits and they've gone, oh, all men are bad, so therefore I have to be the one to break this generational cycle, and I have to be the man that goes, no, all men are crap, all men are horrible, I'm gonna be the knight white on the horse and come and save all the women from all these bad toxic men. You get savior syndrome, you get the white knight syndrome, you get people that believe they're nice guys when really what they are is shadow possessive. They believe that they're better than other men because some men are bad. But what they've taken on is actually toxic femininity. They've put themselves lower so that this woman can be put on a pedestal to just be realized that she wants to have equal rights. You don't have to do either of those two things. So another way that toxic femininity has kind of come up is this helplessness, this victim mindset, being controlled by your root emotions, and having this sense of, there's also the social side of it, which is social status, being superficially approved, the competition mindset, your primal instincts to kind of have like, you know, competition for a man, basically, and being like, I'm better than this man, I'm more hot than this lady, and I'm blah blah blah. Your seduction equaling self-worth, so being attractive or being able to be viewed in an attractive way or more attractive than another person or having better features than another person in your eyes makes you more worthy of love, makes you more attractive to the male race, because what you're looking at is the male gaze, which is things that we've been taught at a young age, that we don't dress for ourselves, we dress to get the attention of men. And unfortunately, women take this on a lot. And you see it a lot with women, with mothers and daughters, where the daughter's getting attention from a man, and the woman doesn't like it because she has, you know, self-esteem issues or whatever the fuck's going on with her. And she takes it down the route of calling that daughter a slut, calling that daughter a whore, calling that daughter all the names under the sun. You're dressing provocatively, you're doing this, you're doing that, which is sexualizing a child. You're looking at a child as a sexual object because you don't like the fact that she's getting male gaze in either a jealous way or a protective way. Like, the ways that you can protect your children from the male gaze is not by degrading your daughter and going, you're dressing like a slut, all these men are gonna rape you, and like, well, maybe if you didn't dress like that, then, you know, men wouldn't come up and try to touch you and all this shit. The ways that you can protect your child is going up to that man and saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? To be staring at a child like that, to be staring at an 18-year-old girl like that, what the fuck is actually wrong with you? The person who's staring at this child provocatively, the person that's sexualizing a child. What is wrong with that person? Not what is wrong with a child for doing what society is doing to them. Not wrong for your fathers, your brothers, your friends, your societal members, your, you know, church family to be staring at a child in a sexualized way because they wear a crop top or shorts or a skirt. That's not a woman's problem. It's only a woman's problem if they take on toxic masculinity and this toxic femininity as well, that they believe seduction equals self-worth, taking it on as a jealousy, vindictive thing, or taking it on as some primal instinct to protect their child by degrading their child into a lower status. Now, some ways where we can view toxic masculinity in both men and women is things like oppressing, dominating, demeaning. Demeaning means to make someone lose their dignity and respect of themselves. So it's like lowering who they are as a person, which is very similar to degrading. Degrading is usually a bit more public. Degrading is humiliating and disrespecting someone in a way to make yourself higher or to make them at least lower. To try and identify yourself with them and be like, I don't like this, I don't agree with this. How can I humble you? Is usually how it goes. Or you have made some comment or you have said something to someone and they don't like it. So they go down into their trauma wounds and they want you to feel as bad as they do, which is what children do, which is how you can usually tell it's a trauma wound in the first place. Another thing is not allowing women to have autonomy or ownership over their own body or have autonomy in general. So being like controlling, manipulative, not having control over their own body, like not letting them wear what they want to wear. Not like there's a certain level of respect where it's like, okay, I understand that this is how this person feels about what I wear, but at the same time, if you love someone, you're gonna love them regardless of what they wear, and the focus shouldn't be on their body so much, especially when we're talking about love. And it's like, do you actually love this person, or do you love the image that you're projecting onto this person that makes you feel good? You feel like a good man or a good masculine because you've got a woman who's beautiful and you're in control of them and you find them attractive, but you don't want other men to find them attractive, or you don't want other women to find them attractive. And so you have this sense of, yes, you keep them in line, you keep them on a leash, you keep them tied to you in some way so that everyone knows that this is your woman in the most toxic way possible. Like, I would never let my girlfriend walk out like that. Why? Are you feeling a little bit of competition between the men in your society and you don't feel any sense of like stableness within yourself or stability within yourself to say, no, our relationship's solid and secure. I don't have anything to worry about. Do you actually know this person well enough to sit there and not have insecurities and go, I feel stable and secure in this relationship, so I don't have to worry about if she's walking out wearing hot stuff? Or are you the type of man that needs to be possessive and not allow a woman to have agency over her own body and say, no, you need to cover up, you look like a slut, you look like this, you look like that, which is can transfer over into a toxic feminine state as well. You get jealous by what the male gaze is, and so you try to demean your woman as much as possible, or your feminine as much as possible, so that you have ownership over who looks at them and who doesn't, instead of being proud of the fact that you have a woman that you believe is attractive and going like, oh my god, I got the most hottest girlfriend ever, look at all the people looking at her. It boggles my brain sometimes. Like, I get there's different opinions, but if you're going to take a spiritual look at things and you're going to be a little bit less in your primal zone, you're going to have to really look at that and go, is that my insecurities? Or is that someone disrespecting the relationship? Are they going out there flirting with people? Or are they just looking nice? And that's making me feel insecure. Totally, completely different. Self-comparison is another one. Being the best and needing to prove your strength and your safety as a man by being like, I'm bigger than this person, I'm more muscular than this person, or doing it in dangerous ways like, oh, no man's gonna fuck with me because I've got knives, I got guns, I got this, I got that, which is a sense of insecurity and safety within yourself. You have nothing that you need protection from, and most people don't unless you put yourself in those situations or you have really like unhealthy people around you. Most people aren't sitting there with a gun being like, I'm top shit. And if they are, that might be something to look at. But this is ways that men can kind of sit there and go, I'm the big, tough, strong man, and I feel very masculine because I have a gun or a knife sitting beside me. These are very unhealed wounds of what real masculinity and protection and safety look like, because I can tell you right now from experience that a woman who has a man who has a gun is more worried about the people that are going to come in here that they need a gun in the first place. Like, you know, unless you live in America where you have guns everywhere. Like, I totally get that, but it's a bit different. It's usually for either one of you to have protection, but I'm talking more like, you know, I'm a big top gangster man. Like, having no emotions or being taught to cut off your emotions is very much a societal expectation or a societal traditional role in masculinity, where men are viewed as being stoic and stable in their emotions, meaning that they don't have them. I hate to break it to all men and women, but men have just as many emotions as women do. And the thing is that what makes men so dangerous is their inability to actually connect to their emotions, know where they're coming from, know how to handle them without suppressing them, know how to express them in a safe way, which they don't usually get taught. We get this whole, oh, boys will be boys because they're beating the shit out of each other. And then you wonder why they have no control over themselves at all when they're an adult and they're crying their eyes out. And instead of crying their eyes out, they want to go punch a wall because they feel this emotion and they don't know how to deal with it. They're going to go punch a wall instead of just sit in the corner and cry for 5 minutes. Like, this is not just what men do to each other. This is what women do too. Now, the stigmas can be broken down pretty easily, but it's going to take a really big mirror for you to understand that this is a problem in your life. Not being able to express your emotions in a healthy way is because you've never been taught how to express your emotions. This is not emotional regulation. There's a difference between trying to control people with your emotions and make other people responsible for your emotions, make other people's, reaction to your emotions justified or unjust. Like, you're not allowed to just act however the fuck you like towards people, obviously. But there's a big difference between expressing your emotions and being verbally, physically, mentally, emotionally abusive. And there's also people who are allowed to make decisions on what they're okay with and what they're not. But if you're literally telling your husband, men shouldn't cry, and, oh, you're a fucking pussy, and you're this and you're that, because they're gonna cry, guess what, love? You're a part of the toxic masculine culture. Sorry to break that to you. So what ways can we go about dealing with this? The only way that you're really going to break the stigma is to get a big giant mirror, put it in front of your face and go, what am I doing that is not out of love? What am I doing that is out of fear? What am I doing that is because of a trauma wound? What am I doing that is not bringing my true authentic self forward? You're going to need to write a big fucking list, some people. I myself have written multiple lists in the past, and I still do. Almost every single week I write a list of all my shadows that I've expressed. I go over my journals and I write down, okay, well, this was an unhealed part of me. Why did this unhealed part of me come out? How can I better suit myself to this unhealed part of me? Most of the time it's just simple fucking self-care. Like, I'm so overtired that I'm literally put in this state of suppression or explosion. So, whether you're a female or a male doesn't really matter. If you're in a state of suppression, that's not gonna just magically get healed. There's a point where it's like, okay, this is not the right time or place, but then you go put yourself in a time or a position where you can go and actually deal with that situation. I don't know how many experiences I've had where it's like, okay, it's not the right time or place, and you go home and don't talk about it. Or a week later, this is the right time or place to do it. Okay, why are you bringing up the past? It's already happened. The situation hasn't been dealt with. The emotions of that situation haven't been dealt with. The wounds that it caused have not been dealt with. none of those things have actually been dealt with for you to not be suppressing your emotions consistently to the point of where you're not exploding in some unhealthy way and pouring all that shit all over the people that you love instead, because those are the people that keep you safe. Those are the people that make you have that sense of community and safety. And I'm sorry to women and men, but the world at large is not going to get better and be a more safe place for you to express yourself authentically if you are, one, not calling out the people in your life for their toxic behavior, and two, you're not doing it to yourself either. It's pretty simple, actually. Like, if you cannot say to your friend, hey, I don't like the way that made me feel, we don't follow those things, they're very oppressive to us as a gender or as a society or as a family member or whatever, like, and they can't handle that, it means they're not ready to look at the mirror and say to themselves that this is oppressive. This is toxic behavior. And then if you don't have any boundaries about that, like, okay, we're not going to talk about these situations with you because you're going to take an oppressive view on women, and we don't identify with that culture anymore, or men. Like, you know, if you're going to sit there and degrade your husband in front of me, don't expect me to sit there and be your best friend at the end of it. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to get on the bandwagon and go like, oh, you're such a pussy, how dare you cry? Like, no. You're going to be the one that's not, you're going to get nothing from me. Absolutely bloody nothing. If anything, I'm going to look at you like I do a toxic man and go, that's disgusting. Because it is disgusting behavior. To be able to call out your own shit, I have done multiple things that I'm disgusted by and I'm not proud of. But you actually, like, can take that ownership and go, I did this. It's now on my shoulders. It's now my responsibility. There are people that I've never talked to ever again after an experience, or I haven't talked to for years. And I have messaged them on Facebook. I've text messaged them. I've left them a voice message, and being like, you know what? This is the person I am now. And I feel ashamed, or I feel guilt, or I feel bad about the way that I treated you this many years ago. I don't believe it was okay because of these reasons. I'm really working towards healing this, and I want to actually apologize to you because I understand the consequences of my actions, and I can understand how my actions could have attributed to this happening in your life, or to you feeling like this, or the damage that could have been done from my actions, and I want to sincerely apologize. Like, even if you want nothing to do with them afterwards, like, you and them don't align anymore, that doesn't give you the right to sit there and, like, degrade people and demean them and, like, embarrass them or humiliate them or gaslight them or manipulate them. Like, it doesn't give you the right to do that. And everyone's going to have their own perspectives on what's healthy and what's not. But until we start having honest conversations with ourselves and the people in our community and out loud, none of it's really going to change. Okay, I think I've talked too much. I'm going to have a lot to edit. So, you guys all have a nice night. Love you lots.